Next is a report by our Ashanti regional correspondent, Bright Yabua, and he's taking us on a conversation about tomato glut, the experience of the Akomadan farmers.
Akomadan, a major tomato producing hub, is experiencing a severe tomato glut. Farmers are stranded. They say the situation is heavily crippling their incomes. Previously, these soft ones would have been sold with no hassle, but as it stands, they are left in the bush to rot.
They can some once a much one, may cut by cutting tools. Adaka, Bakumako, Miensa. Ye be a kilo a drastic and make caniska and near can kilo a dunum, the mudron. Yadiko was by almost this a city a hand 4 million, and the blame. Me my word in can my word in 70 cities per day. At me, I almost better tea, or more man better tea. Almost you be idea 70 cities. Okabuma, 21 cities. 20 come the buy and count. Come the buy and count. Come maybe cook myself, also buy or Baba Jenny dear, or no buy what 130. It will be from is coming in the best 30 cities.
Those ye need to for once a bar, ye dear Nigia by a big say yet near the Usunia Reho. You see, I offer Nakaya, see here in Nubo. Once a yes, I cook mass, a man we are the umpe, nom their brain.
With the influx of imported tomato from neighboring Burkina Faso, farmers say it is worsening the situation.
Farmers argue that consumers prefer the Burkina Faso tomato variety because it lasts longer on the shelf than the local produce. However, they say their soils cannot support this preferred variety, and the closest alternative is too expensive to grow, as the seed prices are far beyond their means.
First, near Idia Petofik, a man sinye, you could be a kunkun, a man sinye, Yenia Luka. You said you are looking, Ombam sinye, Ompeconcumuntus. Tinini, how cassia power untus anymore. Ti a buying summa, a Greek food by, and ye tries, a bit by a friend of Cabana, and then a boy assassin. And surprise in a dasrono.
The unbuilt tomato processing factory, which is a subject of political charade, highlights the public's frustration with politicians exploiting the genuine needs of the Akumadan community for political gain.
But abana bako abana ko omuba omu promise omu campaign ye the me gina soto abawa Akumadan se obi aba oso be si factory amaye. But I need the amanyofoni ye ubie no aboa da.
You're welcome back from that. It seems the glut continues in Ghana in, well, this time in a different form. It's affecting tomato farmers in Akumadan. Correspondent in the Ashanti region, Bright Yabua, joins us via phone to speak more on this particular topic. Bright, you're welcome to Sunday Breakfast. How are you doing?
I'm very fine, I trust you're well. I'm
very well, thank you. You went to Akomadan. Akomadan is the hub, or used to be, at least when I was younger, the hub for tomato farming. You were there. Paint a picture of the dire situation that the farmers are in.
So, like you rightly said, Akumadan happens to be the hub for tomato production, but it's not just only that. You realize that Akumadan as a community is basically, it's got to do with agricultural products. So they have produce from tuber, produce, yam, cassava, and so many. And then we speak of cereals as well, cereal crops. They have maize as well. And then you speak of vegetables. But predominantly, the Akumadan community and its environment is known to produce tomato. That is what they are known for. And so for decades, they have served the community and the nation, the entire nation, with tomatoes. Mm-hmm. And I was there last week. I spoke with a couple of farmers who, in fact, engage in the tomato production. And it's just one problem they kept reoccurring. They had harvested their produce, but there were no available or ready markets for these tomatoes, which they found to be really disheartening. The fact was that there is no factory or whatsoever to help even in converting or putting them in a situation where they can at least, if not for anything, if not their meat being bought or sold out, at least they can, reproduce them in whether sachet, whether tin, or whatever it is. At least they wouldn't have to go lost in many of these things. And so they find it really bizarre, and to them it's crippling their incomes as compared to last year and this year. They are saying that the sales have really gone down, and in fact they spoke of the fact that a box of tomatoes that previously, even earlier part of this year, that would cost around 900 cedis to 1,000 Ghana cedis, was now, but they could not even put a price tag on a tomato box. They say that these days, what happens is that retailers come around, because women come around, they take the boxes of tomatoes, and until they are done selling, they cannot tell how much they even get from a box of tomatoes. Now, one farmer, some of the farmers I spoke to, said that if you are lucky, or if they are lucky, they pluck or harvest a box of tomatoes, they take it to the communities, as the community center, the market center. The highest of price they get for a box of tomatoes would be around 100 cedis, 150 cedis, which is very minimal. I mean, we're talking about the cost of transportation from their farms to the community center or the market center, and then the cost of even harvesting, having to pay laborers to pluck or harvest these tomatoes. When you calculate that, plus even the farm inputs, weedicides they have to buy, pesticides they have to buy, and all of that, they're just running at loss. And so they are just speechless. They have no idea what to do. So it's just of a big issue to them. So when I visited about 3 farms, and in most of the farms, in fact, like tomatoes were left unharvested, and in fact, you could see visibly they were rotting, because they say that there is no ready market, even for those that they have already harvested. And so for them, it's a big blow, it's a big challenge to them. They are just hoping that help comes from either the government or any place that they feel is right.
Right. This is David Kokusin. I wanted to find out, do they have any kind of cooperative as farmers that can work together as a unit to say, present their challenges to the Ministry of Agric or any other duty bearer in the space?
Well, the farm that I spoke to, they told me that clearly that they have associations, but it's not as vibrant as it should be. And so setting up their grievances and tabling it to the agriculture and the Ministry of Agriculture or any other agency is a challenge. And so to them, a help could come either in the form of agricultural agencies that they can actually help in, even in helping them setting up their association, so that all these grievances can be resolved. They will welcome that.
But what's the state of the Akumadan tomato processing factory? Does it even exist still? Is it still running? Is it still functioning?
Well, I'll say it's a white elephant. It's not even a white elephant. So with the farmers that I spoke to, they say that year on year, administration after administration, politicians will come to their community, pledge a whole lot of pledges, but nothing come up. So they say that from the era of late President Jerry Rawlings before, then Mills, and then Mahama, then Akufo-Addo, now Mahama again. They have seen nothing. Of course, they feel that it's just a promise. They come to the community, they just tell them all sort of promises, making all sort of promises, but it never materializes.
Because I'm reading here that Dr. Kofi Kunedu Aperku, and this is in 2001, I believe, that a multi-million-dollar tomato processing factory was commissioned at Akomadan. But I'm guessing, like you said, that's the white elephant that we saw, because it was producing 60 tons of canned tomatoes and other vegetables on a daily basis, including tomato ketchup, and it's sad to note that we've run it down, which is practical of us. Other stories are saying that Bamia last year in 2024, I guess during the campaigning season, also promised. So like you said, there have been promises made to them, but nothing is being fulfilled. How are the roads from these markets? Are they in good shape that trucks can come pick up the tomatoes and bring it to the Ashanti region, where I'm sure there's a ready market available?
Yeah, so this is what happened. So transporting their tomatoes from the farm to the roadside is a big challenge, a huge challenge. I think that should be the idea. It's normal, say, for a farming road or a route that leads to the farming to the roadside, it's really bumpy. That's one of the challenges. But from Akumadan Center or the Akumadan roadside to Kumasi, the road is hard, it's in a good shape, nothing really whatsoever when it comes to the road infrastructure. That's okay. But the challenge has to do with commuting from the farmland to the roadside. That is where the challenge is. And of course, it takes kilometers before you can get to the roadside. So usually what happens is that they use these tricycles. I mean, now locally, what we call abogoya in Ashanti region, that's what they use to transport their farm produce from the farms to the roadside. So that's the state of the road infrastructure in Akumadan.
One of the farmers you spoke to mentioned pricing. Can you throw more light on that?
So again, the farmers that I spoke to, they said previously, even last year, they could sell a box of tomato around 1,300 and between 1,300 and 1,200. But earlier this year, they could sell a box for 900 Ghana cedis. But that's expensive. They cannot even place a price tag on even a box of tomatoes because they are not selling, because they are not buying. Again, the fact that they say that the influx of Burkina Faso tomato currently in the market, and the fact that even the shelf span or the lifespan of the tomato, that of comparing the Burkina Faso tomato and that of the Akumadan tomato, they say that the Burkina Faso tomato has a long shelf span compared to that grown in the Akumadan community. So that is what really accounts for that. So clearly with the pricing, it's I would say that they have no price tag. Again, they go on to say that if you are fortunate, you stock or you harvest a box of tomato, you take it to the roadside or even to the local community, local market. If you are fortunate, you get between 100 Ghana cedis and 150 cedis. Clearly, he says that a box of tomato currently weighs around 50 kilograms. That's a lot of produce to speak of. And so clearly, the price tag, when it comes to the pricing, they say that they have no price tag. So especially when the farmers or retailers, women, come to their market, to the farm to harvest or to buy from them, they take it to Kumasi. They'll have to wait, and then before they even get to know how much they get from these produce that have been sold or have been bought from them. So that's the challenge. So with the pricing issue, they cannot, for certainty, place a price tag on even a box of tomatoes.
Right, tell me, what do they intend to do? Are they going to speak to the DCE? Have you been able to get in touch with the DCE or anybody in authority who can help alleviate this situation for them?
The DCE, at the time of my visit, was unavailable, so I couldn't get to speak with him. And so for them, they are saying that they are just calling on either agricultural agencies or the government to come either to help, buy these things from them, because as it stands, they are losing a lot.
Bright, just a quick one. The Akumadan is in the Offiso North District. How far is it away from any major road, the town of Akumadan? How far is it away from any major highway?
So, Akumadan happens to be shares a boundary with the Bono East region.
Okay.
It shares a boundary with it. So, actually, there's a main road that links the Bono East region to the Ashanti region.
Okay. So there is a direct road, but it's just that the farmers are further removed from the highway, and that's what poses a challenge. Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Bright. We appreciate your insight on the conversation. Thank you so much for the report as well. That was Bright Yeboah. He's an Ashanti regional correspondent. He's thrown some light on the challenges that the Akumadan farmers in the tomato industry are having. The challenge this season, there seems to be a glut of sorts in different areas, and the tomato has not been spared either. And the challenge of this thing that we've been having, this conversation we've been having about processing factory and so on, it's becoming tired, as a conversation we've been having, because we've spoken about it over and over again, and people promise and they fail, and they promise and they fail. As far back as 2002, a promise was made that Akumadan was going to have a tomato processing factory. It never saw the light of day. We don't really, it did see some kind of, activity, but then before long, it's gone. How is it that in less than 25 years after this promise and factory was put up, then nothing has come of it, and today we are back to square one, and farmers are complaining about not being able to get good value for their tomatoes. Anyway, I don't know if you remember not so recent, maybe a few months ago, there was no tomatoes in
Akomadan.
Yeah, I know. And I remember buying one day, and I remember it because it was painful for me. I bought 80 Ghana cedis for 5 tomatoes. Yes, and they were not even big or nice. 80 Ghana cedis, because I needed to get them. So, and then now we look at the situation. There's something, we need to fix this.